You ever have one of those moments where your whole world just stops on a dime? Like someone hit pause on the movie of your life, and you realize you've walked straight into something you can't quite explain? That's exactly what happened the day General Matthews strolled through the Camp Liberty Armory, not looking for anything except the usual, some discipline, maybe a new reason to file a report, definitely not a legend hiding in plain sight. And let me tell you, I was there, just another soldier, or so he thought, sitting in the far corner quietly cleaning a Barrett .50 cal, when the general's eyes landed on a little badge above my heart that read 3,200-meter confirmed kill. Yeah, you heard that right. Not a typo, 3200. His face went blank, the kind of look you get when reality and logic have an ugly divorce. He stopped mid-stride and said it out loud. "Soldier, that's impossible. No one has made a shot at that distance." You know what I mean? It was like I'd just claimed I could bend gravity. The armory was humming. Always as in the afternoons. Racks of rifles, oil-stained benches, boots scuffing concrete, guys joking about weekend passes, the usual background static. But for me, every day was the same ritual. 3 hours, stripping down the Barrett, cleaning every piece with that obsessive precision only a sniper learns to love, rebuilding it so smooth it'd make a surgeon jealous. Not because I'm a neat freak, but because when your life and the lives of others depend on a single pull of the trigger, you treat your weapon like it's an extension of your own body. Maybe more important, actually. That Barrett was my ticket home, my silent partner, the only thing I trusted when the world went sideways. That I'd been on base for 8 months. Staff Sergeant Luna Valdez. Not the loudest in the room, not the first one folks notice at a briefing, just steady. That's what they say. My file. Most of it's classified, not because I'm some Hollywood action hero, but because when you do your job right in my line of work, nobody's supposed to know you were ever there. But the general, he wasn't satisfied with rumors. He wanted answers. He started with the obvious. Why is a regular-looking soldier in this dusty armory wearing a badge for a shot nobody else has even tried? He tried to play it cool, asked to see my record, my qualifications. His aide, Harrison, pulled up what he could: sniper school, top scores, Delta Force support, a few stints with units that don't get mentioned at family dinners. There were badges on my chest he didn't recognize, and that bothered him, like maybe there was a secret society nobody invited him to. The more he poked, the deeper the hole went. Long-range schools, ballistic computation, operations in places where the only thing between life and a body bag was a steady trigger finger and the wind at your back. Valdez, explain to me how someone makes a 3,200-meter shot. What does that even take? That's when I put down the bolt carrier, looked him right in the eye, and started to lay it out. Wind at every altitude, air density, temperature, barometric pressure, the Coriolis effect, bullet drop, even the Earth's damn rotation. You'd think I was pitching a science project, but that's the reality. At that distance, even your heartbeat matters. You wait hours sometimes for the wind to settle. You measure, recalculate, and sometimes you just pray you didn't miss something. And just when he was starting to process all that, he hit the brick wall. Tell me about that shot. I want details. Here's where it got tricky. The engagement was classified. All I could say was the shot was confirmed by multiple observers. The documentation's locked down tighter than Fort Knox. The general wasn't satisfied. He never is. So he authorized me to talk about the technical side. Nothing about where or who, just the how. So I told him it was mountainous terrain, high elevation, optimal conditions, target stationary for a long time. The kind of scenario you can only dream about as a sniper. For hours I lay there, waiting, prepping, checking every variable. Then one shot, one life, and a team of hostages safe because there was no other way. But even after all that, he wanted proof. "Can you show me?" he asked, so determined he'd bulldoze the rules if he had to. We arranged a demonstration, 1,200 meters, all the range could allow. I set up for 2 hours, checking every instrument, running the numbers, while the general and his whole crew watched like they were at a show. When the shot rang out, you could feel the pressure roll off. Target, center mass. Clean. But even that wasn't enough for him. "You're telling me you can do this at 3 times the distance?" I just smiled. With the right conditions and enough time? Yeah, sir, I can. Here's the twist people never expect. Behind all the technical jargon, all the secrecy, what matters is trust. The general spent the next week pulling strings, digging through layers of clearance until he pieced together the rest of my record. What he found wasn't a list of kills or medals. It was a catalog of impossible situations made possible because somebody was willing to wait in the dirt for hours, breathe slow, and pull a trigger when it mattered most. That 3,200-meter shot? Hostage rescue. No good options left, and one shot was all we had. But that was just one of dozens. Missions where the plan changed because I could make a shot no one else would even attempt. He sat in on a briefing with General Stone, learned how my assignments are coordinated at a level so high up. Even most generals don't get the full picture. Why isn't she being used for bigger missions? He asked. She already is, Stone replied. She's the ace you don't show until you have to. I'm not stationed in the corner of that armory for no reason. Sometimes the quietest people carry the heaviest responsibilities, and the only proof of their existence is the aftermath of a job done right. 6 months later, I shipped out again. Another classified mission, another impossible target, another life saved because someone was patient enough to trust the process. The general, meanwhile, learned a hard lesson. Sometimes legends aren't loud. Sometimes the ones you overlook are the backbone of everything. You ever wonder if the most extraordinary people you meet are the ones you barely notice? That's the real story. Not medals or badges or records, but knowing when it counts that you're ready. Because preparation is everything. So next time you're quick to judge someone in the corner, just cleaning up after everyone else, ask yourself what kind of stories they might be carrying. Because sometimes the difference between failure and success is hidden in the people who never ask for attention. If this hit you like it did for General Matthews, if you believe greatness doesn't need applause, share your thoughts below. Where do you draw the line between routine and remarkable? In your world, what does justice or recognition really mean? Let's talk about it. But here's the thing about stories like mine. People always want a clear ending, a line in the sand between legend and routine. Like if you just look hard enough, you'll find out what makes a person different. What makes someone step out of the shadows and change everything with one decision, one shot, one silent yes, I'll take that risk. But real life, especially out here, doesn't tie things up with a neat little bow. Most days, you finish your work, lock your rifle back in the case, walk out under a sky so wide you feel small, and wonder if anyone would even believe half of what you've seen if you ever let it slip out. And trust me, you don't, not really. Not unless you're asked that a few weeks after the demonstration, something happened that I still think about. One of the new privates, kid named Turner, maybe 19, fresh out of basic, comes up to me in the mess hall, tray in hand, nervous like he's about to ask for money. Sergeant Valdez, he says, they say you're a ghost. That true? And I laughed. Genuine, maybe for the first time in months. I'm just here doing my job, I told him. But he wouldn't let it go. Did you really save that family in the desert? Is it true you waited 3 days for one shot? I didn't answer, not directly. Just told him. Sometimes you wait for the right moment your whole life and don't even know it. Sometimes you get one chance and everything that comes before is just practice. But you better be ready when it happens, you know? And he nodded like he understood, but I knew he didn't. Not yet. Nobody really gets it until the first time they're alone, scope pressed to their cheek, watching the wind dance through the grass a mile away, counting heartbeats and hoping their hands don't shake when the radio finally says, go. That's the moment you either become part of the story or you become someone else's memory. Sometimes you're both. A month later, news came down. Another operation, urgent, all hands needed. This time I wasn't on the trigger. I was asked to mentor, to stand behind someone else, walk them through the prep, the math, the nerves, the endless waiting. It was Turner's turn, believe it or not. The same kid with the tray in the mess hall. The kid with 1,000 questions and no answers yet. I watched him lie in the dirt, squint through the glass, run the calculations over and over like the world depended on it. And for a few hours, it did. I heard his breathing slow, watched his finger curl, felt the tension rise in the air, so thick you could taste it. The shot rang out. Perfect. Target neutralized. Team safe. Operation a success. He looked at me afterward, face pale, but eyes burning with the kind of light you only get from knowing you did something no one can take away. How'd I do? He whispered, almost afraid to ask. I just grinned, punched his shoulder lightly, said, "Now you get it, rookie. Now you're in the story too." That's the twist no one expects. The real legacy isn't one shot or one badge. It's the moments you pass it on, the pieces of yourself you give away without even knowing it. General Matthews kept tabs, of course. Once you know there are legends in your ranks, you never look at a quiet corner the same way. Sometimes he'd drop by, ask about training schedules, make small talk that always ended up circling back to the same questions. How do you train for something no one else can do? How do you teach someone to be calm when everything's falling apart? I never had an answer that satisfied him. Maybe there isn't one. Maybe it's just time and patience and being willing to listen to the world when it tells you to wait just a little longer. That a few old-timers still grumble about change. Say the army's not what it used to be. Too much tech, not enough grit. But they don't see the hours spent in silence, the discipline it takes to clean a rifle until your fingers go numb, the humility of knowing even the best can miss if they stop paying attention. They want drama, fireworks, but the truth is, most victories come quietly, in moments nobody sees but you. Sometimes, late at night, I walk past the armory, lights low, and see Turner cleaning his weapon, the same careful routine, the same quiet focus. And I wonder, did someone watch me that way years ago? Did I even notice? Maybe that's the cycle. Each of us carries a little bit of what came before, adds our own chapter, and moves on. Let me back up a sec. If you think this is a story about one shot or one soldier, you missed the point. This is about the quiet power of readiness, the truth that sometimes the greatest acts of courage look like patience, like humility, like being willing to be invisible until the world suddenly needs you. Sometimes you're the hero. Sometimes you're the teacher. Sometimes you're the ghost in the corner, smiling as the next legend finds their place. Yes, oh yeah. Maybe General Matthews never found the neat ending he was looking for. Maybe he realized some stories are still being written every day, right under his nose. And maybe you, listening to this, you know someone who's carrying more than they ever let on, who stands quietly while others take the spotlight, who's just waiting for the world to need them. Don't overlook those people. They might just change everything when it matters most. If you believe real heroes aren't always the ones who shout the loudest, or if you've ever wondered how many untold stories are hidden in plain sight, drop your thoughts below. Tell us about the unsung legends in your own life. Because in the end, the line between ordinary and extraordinary isn't where you think it is. It's written in the quiet spaces between heartbeats, waiting for the next moment to matter.